Hi everybody, I'm Jared Pike. This is Shell Point Today for the weekend of July 5th, 6th, and 7th. On today's show, we visit the Crystal Room to find out why people love the Friday night seafood buffet. But first, we hope you enjoyed the great music for yesterday's July 4th celebration. Our next big musical event in the church auditorium happens on Thursday. It's a more classical turn with a unique trio consisting of flute, viola, and harp. The Sunshine Trio are Scott O'Donnell playing the viola, Kay Kemper on the harp, and Beth Larson playing the flute. This special combination of instruments brings a new sound to traditional classical favorites, as well as popular numbers from the American Songbook. All three are accomplished musicians and are featured performers with the Southwest Florida Symphony and the Palm Beach Symphony Orchestra. Come hear the Sunshine Trio on Thursday, July 11th at 7:30 p.m. in the church auditorium. Get your tickets now at either service desk. Now, when you are making your weekend plans, Friday night dinner is always one of the big question marks. Well, for many at Shell Point, Friday night just naturally means seafood. And that's because the Crystal Room has been reliably serving up an all-you-can-eat seafood buffet every Friday for many years. I went to the Crystal to check it out. Hi everybody, it's Jared Pike with Greg Pindara, manager of the Crystal Room, and it's Friday night. And Greg, people love to eat seafood on a Friday night.
Yes, it is. In South Florida, we love our seafood, especially here on Friday night.
Friday night, and so the Crystal Room is the place to get your seafood fix on a Friday night. And it's not just one type of seafood, it's many types of seafood, right, Greg?
That's right. We serve all different kinds of fish, broiled fish, fried fish. We always have fried shrimp and a seafood salad, but everything else rotates.
So, let's go back behind the scenes and see what types of fish are on the bar tonight. Let's just go down the line and see what, on a sample Friday, it could be any Friday, let's see what the choices could be on this Friday night all-you-can-eat seafood buffet. Let's go.
Let's go. We always offer mashed potatoes and gravy for the wholehearted people that like to have their potatoes in the evening. We have corn fritters tonight, and we have options on that every week. We have our vegetable line, which is your carrots, your carrot coins. Then we have a southern greens, and there's bacon in there, and there's onions in there that really help spice it up and make it a southern green. We have red beans and rice tonight, and the reason we have the red beans and rice tonight to go along with the jambalaya. Now the jambalaya is a non-seafood item, and every week we have at least one non-seafood item for those that want to come and have their spouse or loved one have their great seafood buffet, but then again they can have something that's not seafood.
And that's important because these are just sample items. It's a different selection every Friday night, is that right?
That's right. We rotate the items every week.
All right, what else do we have tonight?
Stuffed mussels. They're mussels with a bread stuffing, and we have that every once in a while. Tonight, our featured fish is a red snapper, and again, it comes with a lobster biz sauce that has spinach, capers, and onions in it. And you can get it if you don't like the sauce, and just ask one of the servers or myself, and we will get you fish without the sauce.
Flexibility and versatility here at Seafood Night at the Crystal. Now, what's in the box here?
Of course, right here we have our fried shrimp, which we have every week, and we go through about 40 pounds of this on a Friday night, so it's pretty popular. I don't think we'll ever not have fried shrimp.
And I see the seafood salad there.
Yep. There's the seafood salad that we also have every week. Now, in this chafing dish, we have our Friday night surprise of the week. Sometimes we have frog legs, or sometimes we have calamari, but tonight we're showing breaded scallops as our Friday night feature of the week.
So every Friday night is different, and I know some people like the same thing every Friday night. Well, they have some of the same stuff, but you also have different things, so you never know. It's always a pleasant surprise.
Well, that's true too. And it's not only just the buffet. When you come on Friday night, for the $14.95, you get the soup bar, the salad bar, and a fantastic dessert bar.
Yum. So after an all-you-can-eat fantastic seafood meal, there's the icing on the cake, literally. We have a whole table here full of desserts, Greg.
Yes, we do. We have a big variety. Tonight we have a carrot cake, a chocolate cake, and we have 2 pie, blueberry pie and a coconut custard pie, and we have finger desserts, the little brownies. Just if you want just a little piece of something sweet, there's always cookies, and we always have a featured hot dessert. And tonight that is bread pudding.
Wow. So, and this is all included?
This is all included in the $14.95.
All right, folks, so every Friday night in the Crystal Room, you pay $14.95, you get all you can eat of all these seafood choices, all the vegetables, all the salad bar, all the soups, all the breads, and finally, all the desserts. It is a deal and a half, folks. So, come down to the Crystal Room Friday night, seafood night. Coming up, we are replaying some of the week's best stories from Shell Point TV, but before we do that, let's cover all of this weekend's happenings, Academy news, menus, and church news.
Welcome to the Happenings segment of Shell Point TV. This is the weekend edition. I'm Bev Chandley, and I'm here with Suzanne Savada, and we're going to go over the weekend lineup activities for you. We're going to start Friday morning at 8:15 with the stamp ministry. That'll be in the stamp room down in the tunnel on the island. And then we move to 8:30. Where the marketplace is going on in the administration courtyard, and that'll go from 8:30 to 11:30. At 9 o'clock, you'll find the round robin men's doubles tennis going on at the Woodlands tennis courts. Then at 10 o'clock, we have canasta. They will be playing in the game room of the Woodlands, and they would like some new players. So if you're interested, head on down. At 10:15, we have inquiring minds. They'll be in the Osprey room. Then we go to the afternoon lineup. We have a 12:30 mixed progressive bridge game. That'll be in the game room of the Woodlands. This afternoon we also have a 1 o'clock diabetes group appointment. That'll be in the Manatee room on the island. Then our 1:15 time brings us to table tennis in the Tarpon room. And also 1:15 brings us the quilters in the Osprey room. At 1:30, Vespers will be at the community room of the Arbor. 2 o'clock is time for euchre. They'll be in the Sable room. At 2:45, Vespers will be held in the community room of King's Crown. And then we round out the day with 6:45 game night at the Resident Activity Center. So head on down there and have some fun tonight. Well, now we're going to go to Saturday with Suzanne.
We'll start Saturday off at 8 o'clock with the round robin men's doubles tennis group meeting out at the tennis courts at the Woodlands. At 9:45, duplicate bridge will take place in the Manatee room on the island. And at 10:15, the Model Yacht Sailing Club will be out at the Commons Lake at the Woodlands. At 1 o'clock, chess will take place in the Library Lounge of the Resident Activity Center. And at 1:15, table tennis will be in the Tarpon room on the island, and it'll be available to play all weekend. At 3:15, basic line dancing will meet in the Health Club on the island. And our last Saturday activity is 6:30 duplicate bridge in the Manatee room on the island. Now here's Bev for Sunday.
We'll begin at 9 o'clock with Christian Life Studies in the game room of the Woodlands. Then we move to 9:15 where Christian Life Studies will be at the Village Church. 10:15, that's time for our morning worship at the Village Church, and also to find it broadcast live on Shell Point TV, Channel 12. We're going to skip all the way to 2 o'clock in the afternoon for Mixed Golf League. They'll be at the Shell Point Golf Club. And then we have a 6:15 evening service at the Village Church. Thank you for joining us for this weekend edition, and we'll see you back here next week.
Hi, I'm Terry Kolath with your Academy information for the weekend. On Friday at 9 a.m., Phil Hilton begins watercolor, intermediate and advanced, in the art studio in the tunnel on the island for those who have signed up. I'd like to tell you about some new classes coming next week. On Tuesday, July 9th, Professor Adrian Kerr gives us Session 2 of the History of the United States to 1815. And we have our third and final Coffee with a Neighbor for this semester, Running the Forum, with Dick Wright of Eagles Preserve. On Wednesday, we have a second session of American Art, Colonial to Contemporary, with Dottie Megan. And on Friday, another Academy on the Go. This time we're going to visit the latest and greatest new library, Fort Myers Beach. We'll also have the comfort of hospice care. Don't forget to change your room because the social center is still being renovated. This will now take place in the Village Church Hospitality Room, the comfort of hospice care.
Menus for your weekend. In the Crystal Room, the Crystal Platter on Friday is seafood jambalaya with fried okra, red beans, and rice. For dinner, it's the seafood buffet for $14.95, and the soup of the day is cream of mushroom. In the Island Cafe for lunch on Friday, enjoy a seafood basket with coleslaw and chips for $6.95. The dinner special is Chef's Choice for $7.95. Dinner specials in the Palm Grill on Friday are lamb chops for $20.95 or veal schnitzel for $15.95. On Saturday, the Crystal Room is closed. In the Island Cafe for lunch on Saturday, there's a turkey Reuben with fries for $6.95. For dinner, you can have a pork chop with Milanese mashed potatoes and mixed vegetables for $7.95. In the Palm Grill on Saturday, there's prime rib for $18.95 or grilled mahi-mahi for $13.95. On Sunday, the Crystal Room features its Sunday brunch for $17.50. In the Island Cafe for lunch, there's a BLT sandwich with a cup of soup for $6.95. The dinner special is Chef's Choice for $7.95. And the Palm Grill is closed on Sundays. All menus are available 24 hours a day at www.shellpoint.net.
This is the day that the Lord has made. I love that text. I'm reminded of God's goodness day after day, but especially on weekends and particularly on Sunday as we gather for worship. It's a day that we come together as a church and a family, a church and community, as we worship together, as we sing praise to the God of creation who alone is worthy to be praised. It's a day of worship as we come together. We give thanks to God for His rich provisions, His sustaining grace, His care for us. As we gather as a church and community, as the family of God, we unite our hearts and voices in worship as we sing praise to the God of wonder and majesty. We share together in prayer for our concerns locally and internationally. Together we affirm our faith and our trust in our sovereign God. It's an opportunity to come together in church to bring our tithes and offerings, giving our gifts to the Lord, expression of our appreciation for His grace and goodness to us. Each week our choir shares an anthem of praise, and we sing God's glory as a congregation enjoying the ministry of music provided by the choir. Often we have the occasion to welcome special guests who share their gifts and talents in song and speaking. Oftentimes we have those who are guest speakers, missionaries, who provide a constant reminder and encouragement to our hearts as together we share in the work of the Great Commission, proclaiming the gospel of Jesus Christ to the whole wide world. As we gather for worship, we appreciate the preaching and the study of Scripture as our pastor leads us in the truths of God's Word. It's a time for us to rejoice in the fellowship that we share as believers. It's a wonderful day. It's the day that the Lord has made. Here at the Village Church, we invite you to consider coming and being a part of our worship services as we gather Sunday mornings at 10:15 and Sunday evenings at 6:15. Throughout the summer, there'll be special opportunities to welcome guests, share in music, and continue to study God's Word. I trust that you'll join us. If you're not able to attend the service in person, I encourage you to tune in to ShellPoint TV, Channel 12, where the Sunday morning broadcast of the worship service is presented live at 10:15. It is going to be a great day, a day that the Lord has made, and I trust you'll come and be part of our worship as we celebrate God's goodness together.
It's time for our ShellPoint TV Week in Review, and we began with history professor Adrian Kerr previewing his month-long series on the early history of the United States.
Hello everyone, I'm here with Professor Adrian Kerr, my favorite historian, and he is going to take us on a jaunt through the month of July, American history. Thanks for joining me, Adrian.
Thank you, Terry. It's always a pleasure to be back.
And we're going to start the first Tuesday in July, and we're going to, every Tuesday, get deeper into U.S. history. Now, you're coming at this from 2 points of view, aren't you?
Yes, I'm coming at it from the point of view of being a UK-born citizen, but also a US naturalized citizen, so I wear both hats, hopefully trying to be objective. But in doing the research for the talks, it became fascinating to me how much we have learnt, we think we've learnt during our high school education, which we actually remember incorrectly. And so throughout the series of talks, I will enjoy pointing out things that are commonly accepted as factual today, which in fact were not so.
And there's no basis of proof for them.
The basis of proof is clear, but our minds twist things over the years into making what seems like a sensible conclusion. The Tea Party Party in Boston is probably the most famous example of how we have completely absorbed the wrong emphasis on that event.
Fascinating. Okay, so we're starting with the original dwellers in North America. We're starting at the very beginning here, and we're going forward to 1815. What is your favorite part?
I think the most romantic part for me is the period which we call the French and Indian War, which was the precursor for the War of Independence. In fact, the two things are heavily integrated. But Fenimore Cooper's book, The Last of the Mohicans, was a great read. It's still a great read. And they made a wonderful movie out of it with Daniel Day-Lewis. And which I would recommend you to watch. It's called The Last of the Mohicans, and it captures the spirit of colonial America. It captures in the book and in the movie what it was like to live on the frontier in that time, and the different challenges for survival, the local native population, the colonial powers of the British and the French and their conflict, the beginnings of a need to be seen as a separate country, and if you like, that's the cauldron out of which America became a nation.
It's always fascinated me. I mean, just imagine, having been a wife and mother with a small child, if my husband had said, let's get in a wagon and go across the country. I mean, imagine the people that helped to create this country. The spirit of adventure, the, not knowing at all what was going to happen. Lewis and Clark. It's fascinating.
There are two different energy sources which provided this drive to colonize the whole of North America. The first one, and probably the most important for the early days, was the fact that the colonial government, although much maligned by the independence movement, had a magic ingredient. If you were an English person, a farmer or a peasant working on the land, you had zero chance of ever leveraging yourself out of being a serf and having to work for somebody else. You were never going to be able to afford money to buy land. So here are these disaffected, excluded individuals in England who suddenly get a ticket to go to this strange place across the sea. Their passage is paid for 7 years servitude, acting as a farm labourer. After that period, the colonies would give you a piece of land, and you could then buy more land. And so you'd trade off 6 or 7 years of hard work for finally getting a piece of America. And this was the driving force for people to take the risk, the trouble of crossing the ocean, going to a new world, native people who are less than friendly, disease, starvation, cold weather, all these things. You had to balance that with this desperate desire to own a piece of land. And North America is so different from South America in that the South American colonization, which was Spanish-driven by noblemen, they didn't have that concept at all. So you could move from Spain to Colombia or Venezuela, and you'd still be a paid worker. You were never, ever going to get the piece of land that the North American colonists could have, and that was one of the driving forces.
That explains a lot.
In fact, people write books today on why is North America so hugely successful, and yet South America has all the issues that it has. And they make the connection in that the North American people had a stake in their country, had a stake in their future. The South Americans were just paid farmers, putting it very simply.
And what's the other?
The other is this endless amount of land. So when you've occupied the eastern seaboard and the colonies then become a nation, then it's that spread westward. And of course it's a similar drive to get land that nobody else owns. And they did that at huge risk to their families and their wagon trains and so on. And it's amazing that they made so much progress so quickly.
Right. Well, I just think that it's a wonderful way to celebrate America in the month of July. We start with the 4th of July, and we have every Tuesday morning to have you link things up for us as only you can do it.
I'm looking forward to it.
Every Tuesday morning in July, U.S. history. Join us.
Adult daycare allows caregivers a few hours off while their loved one remains in good hands. Here are some Shell Point couples who have taken advantage.
I heard about it. I have a neighbor, Bob Savage, whose wife had Alzheimer's, and when it was opened, I was the first one at the door, and we signed up. Have been absolutely thrilled with it. It has been a marvelous benefit for both Glenn and me. We call it the club. We like the name the club, and Glenn was an officer in the Marine Corps. He's used to going to the club. He was checking the view, seeing if there were any manatees or dolphins in the lagoon. He turned on the TV. They play games such as Scrabble and Hangman. He loves having lunch at the club. Glenn likes to dine, not eat. And the staff there is trained to serve their table one course at a time. They're not rushed. They're encouraged to laugh and talk and enjoy their meal. And from what I hear from so many, they truly love that lunch. They come for that. Another great advantage to the club is its camaraderie. There are times when a resident will wake up and say, I don't feel like going this morning. And the spouse might say, oh, but you'll disappoint Glenn. Oh, I don't want to disappoint Glenn. And they'll get up and go. It gives him some independence from me. He's on his own. I'm not leading the way at all. I don't see him for 4 hours. The first day he went, I've told others, I bought everything from bras to food. I had so much to do in that 4 hours, and I wanted to make it pay. Now I can do my needlework, or I can read, or I can call my sister in Pittsburgh, and we talk every day, so I have time now for me.
I have appointments that I have to go to no matter what, and I can call them when they're here and say, is it all right if I bring Bill in for an hour, 2 hours, whatever I may need, and I've been able to do that. Bill also is more alert when he's home after he's been to the club, and he's very sociable, likes people. Sometimes I have to wait for him to finish playing the games before we can leave. So, and they enjoy the food and the snacks and the camaraderie, and it's given me more freedom, and he does enjoy it. And I think some people should take advantage of it and try it. I know a lot of people, when I look at them, I think, why don't you just give yourself a break? Like going to the store. So you do like to have that time to yourself where you can do that. I had the experience with my own parents, and we decided that we weren't going to put our children through this type of thing. So we were already looking for a place like Shell Point. So we're very happy here.
If you'd like to learn more about the adult daycare service at Shell Point, call their toll-free number, 1-855-454-3102. Well, coming in August, Shell Point is transitioning to a new digital TV service. Do you have the right TV set? I asked Peter Burt to show us the difference. Hi everybody, it's Jared Pike and Peter Burt here with Shell Point TV. We are guiding you through the digital TV transition, which is happening here at Shell Point. And Peter, just briefly, again, we're transitioning the way we broadcast TV. When is the date that a big switchover is going to happen?
The date's going to happen very late in the evening or night of August 13th. That's a Tuesday.
Tuesday night, old signal. Wednesday morning, new signal. And the basics are, if you have a newer TV like this one, you should be okay, generally. If you have an older TV like this one, it's not going to happen. It's not going to accept the new signal. Now, we're going to do a little basic education here, the difference between a digital TV and an analog TV. First of all, just the physical shape of it. In fact, Dan, if you can come around and kind of look at the thickness, this we call it a flat screen because it's flat. The depth of the screen is very, very small, so much so that you can hang it on a wall or put it on a coffee table or
TV stand.
A TV stand. They're very light, they're very flat, they're very versatile. Whereas a TV like this one, even though it's small, it's got this big lump on the back of it, and it's heavy. Oh, you don't want to lift it up, it's too heavy. It's got this glass screen on it. So that's the first and biggest difference, is the physical size. Now another big difference is the shape. If you look at this old school TV, it's kind of a square shaped screen, but the newer TVs have this rectangular shape, almost a widescreen cinema-like shape. And it's very important. Most modern television programs are filmed with this wide screen in mind. So if you have a small TV like this, you either get black bars at the top and bottom, or sometimes it's cut off. For example, we're watching ESPN right now, and the scores and highlights that are here, many times if you have an old school TV, you wouldn't be able to see it. So that's why having a widescreen TV is important with digital TV. Now, Peter, another point that I'm sure our residents are very interested in is the cost, because the time was when television was a piece of furniture and it would cost thousands. But tell us about the cost of TVs nowadays.
Well, TVs are one piece of technology where the prices actually come down. When digital TV first came out back in 2007, the TVs were quite pricey, and they have come down quite a bit. For example, you can buy a 32-inch digital TV at Walmart now for under $200.
So whereas televisions used to be thousands of dollars, now they're just hundreds of dollars, and they're much bigger.
And they're better.
They're bigger, better, and this one I think is 42 inches. You don't need this size TV in your house unless you want to, but you can go bigger. It's completely up to you. But TVs are very economical. So that's one of the reasons why we delayed this transition, is so that people can still get use out of a small one like this, but now the price point is such that it makes sense.
And we knew the price would come down over time. So.
Right. So TVs are new, they're cheap, they're digital, and the signal also is much, much better. There's going to be no more static. Static will be a thing of the past. It's either completely on or completely off. And so, all things considered, I think it's time to retire.
It's time.
These TVs. Now, in a pinch, if you really, really want to hold on to your old school TV, we have these converter boxes. Tell us about these.
These will be available through Shell Point. We're going to pass them along at our cost, which is $100. We're buying them in bulk, so we're getting actually a very good price on them. We'll come out and set them up if need be. To order one, you want to call the call center and have the order put in so that they can send you the paperwork. Mm-hmm. You can get a hold of them at the One Call Does It All number at 454-2190.
So if people still want to hang on to these old school TVs, they can do it.
They can.
But they'll have to buy a $100 converter box.
Right.
And they can do that by calling the call center, 454-2190. So folks, you've seen the comparisons between old school TV and new school. This is coming to Shell Point August 13th. So I think it's time, if you haven't gotten a widescreen TV like this, I think now's the time. So again, if you have any questions about this transition, call the call center, 454-2190. For ShellPoint TV with Peter Burt, this is Jared Pike. What was it like being born on the 4th of July? We asked Willie Demarest to tell us.
In Passaic, New Jersey, and this was shortly after the Depression, and my mom didn't expect twins, but we were twins, July 4th, 1934. And 2 more mouths to feed, and it was a struggle. We had financial problems. We struggled a lot with health, and she died when I was 14. And I don't remember any big parties when I was young, but I made up for it when I was older. Any vacation weekend, 4th of July especially, was at my house on the lake. And we always had a big party, and lots of people. They did bake me a cake with the blueberries and the strawberries, you know, the red, white, and blue, really nice. And we had a great time in the water. You know, I had quite a few boats. Fireworks, oh my goodness, my twin brother lives in South Carolina. He really celebrated. In fact, he got so involved with his celebrations, he never sent me a birthday card. He forgot about me. Here's my hat. I bought this at a Young at Heart outing, which is our older group. Should I put it on? And I wore it that whole weekend after I bought it in Maine, I think it was, or Massachusetts. And of course, nobody forgot my birthday. And I've worn it every day, every birthday, since that time, which has been, probably 15 years. So I wear it here for the ice cream social. And there I am after one of the socials here, ice cream socials, dressed in all my red, white, and blue with my bicycle all trimmed up. And even my pocketbook was red, white, and blue that day. This is my Christmas card for one year that the year I bought the hat on an outing with our Young at Heart, which is the older group. And this was one of the more detailed Christmas card designs that I came up with. And I really enjoy my red, white, and blue elephant. So he's part of my apartment trimmings.
The UPS room is in need of volunteers for the summer. Here are all the opportunities available.
Hi ShellPoint, thank you for joining us today. We're here on the Volunteer Corner. I'm Melody Desolé, and I'm here with 3 very special guests. And typically volunteers come to the UPS room from 10 o'clock in the morning to 11 o'clock in the morning. So it's a 1-hour shift that you spend down here.
Right.
And Mary, typically what would you do? It's sort of a day in the life of in the UPS room.
Well, we are here to provide a service to ShellPoint residents who want to ship UPS. And so if they come in with it already packaged, we weigh it. And then we have a person on the computer that puts it in with the information they provide, and it's placed over on the table for UPS to ship out. If they come in and it's wanting to package it, then we will actually find a box that works, and we will put the item in and put all the right stuffing in so that it gets shipped safely, and tape it up, and they provide again the information, and our computer person enters that in.
So this service is open to whomever chooses to ship.
Even ShellPoint employees.
Wonderful.
Sometimes people come in with odd-shaped items to ship. One time we had a luggage cart. We had to actually make a box to ship that luggage cart in.
So John, tell me what different positions there are in the UPS room, because we are recruiting for Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday.
Correct. We have openings for packers. We have a couple of openings for people to work the computer. And there are people we need for crowd control when it gets bad at like Christmas time. The regular procedure when someone comes in with a package, we have them fill out a ticket, which is given to me to put into the computer. It's really very simple. We put in the date, the name of the person that the package is going to, the address, and then here we put in the person who is sending it, the weight goes here, the amount of the package comes there, and then they just either pay cash or write a check. We don't take credit cards, and you can't have it charged to your ShellPoint account.
Okay, so that's important to note. The cash or a check made out to Shell Point.
Right.
And the computer is pretty much self-explanatory, but for that position, if someone is interested, training would certainly be provided.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I have a worksheet that lists the procedure, how to put each thing in, and they certainly could have a copy.
Okay, so if someone comes in with a package, we need people to help package it, help label it, help tape it, help weigh it, and help input the information into the computer.
Well, it's amazing what they bring in. Some things that they bring in are extremely delicate, so we do a lot of packing for them. And they can come with just about anything, and many of them walk in here with a whole numbers of things in a shopping bag and say, I want to ship this. So we find a box that's quite large and pack it very carefully, wrap the items individually, add a lot of the peanuts and popcorn so that it'll get there safely. And then when it's all done, we have this fancy machine here that really tapes it up and makes it very strong. We triple tape just to make sure it gets there. Probably a whole lot more tape than we need, and that may even add an extra few ounces, but that's okay. Gets there safely, and that's what's important.
That's wonderful. Yeah. Now, typically, using the UPS service, how long would it take within the United States to ship a package?
Depends on where it needs to go. Some places will get in about 2 days. Other places, to the further west you go, the longer it will take. Across the Mississippi River, they say it takes an extra day. I don't know why, but it takes a little longer to get across the big river. And it'll be about 5 to 6 days for California.
Wonderful.
There's another system of shipping, and that's kind of overnight or next day, but that becomes extremely expensive. And you only use that if you're in a very special hurry to get it there. Normally, anywhere from 3 to 6 days.
Now, if they wanted to send something international, where would they have to go for that?
They'd have to go to a regular UPS store. We can't handle for Canada, for instance, or even for Alaska or Hawaii. They would have to go to a UPS store for that.
Wonderful. Now, if you just do a regular package shipped out, the insurance included is up to $100, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Now, if they did choose to buy additional insurance, say it's something that's very important to the family, they could do that here as well?
They can. They can insure any amount they want to, but they have to pay extra for it. And somehow or another, they will have to be able to justify the value. They can't just say this is worth $30,000 if it isn't, nor would they get the $30,000 if it never got there. They'd have to be able to prove, in fact, the value of it. But you can insure for any amount you choose you think the package is worth.
Wonderful. So volunteers, tell me, do they have fun in the UPS room?
Well, I work on Tuesdays, and we do have a lot of fun. We even have a little tea and coffee, but we do have a great time. It can get quite busy, especially around the Christmas season, but generally we have a great time. We deal with most of the affairs of the world and settle many of the problems. But generally speaking, our work is to ship packages for our residents, and they seem to appreciate it very much. So a volunteer here is a great job. 1 hour a week, and you get to know a lot of other people. You feel great about being helpful to others, and it really is an enjoyable experience.
Thank you for joining us here at Shell Point in the UPS room. This UPS room is located in the tunnel on the island. The openings we have are for Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday morning from 10 o'clock to 11 o'clock. If you do have an interest in joining this wonderful team, please contact me, Melody, at 454-2290.
All this week, we've been asking residents their memories of the USO. Here is a compilation of these stories.
I was in the service, Sampson Air Force Base. One of the other instructors told me that he was going up to Rochester to the USO to see if he could see some chicks. And so would I like to go? And I said I sure would like to go.
My girlfriend, who lived in the same building, decided to go to the USO. And I always went home for the weekend. And she talked me into staying. So we went to the USO, and we had to go in and have a class first. And when I came out, I said, I can't dance, I'm going home. And he was at the door.
We walked in, and there were two girls walking toward us. One was very attractive, the other was tall and skinny and not attractive. And I gave my friend Frank the elbow and said, I don't like yours, and made as direct a beeline as I could for what turned out to be Eva. And we talked them, they were on their way out, and we talked them into sticking around, and we spent the evening, as you do in a USO, playing games and dancing and talking.
I had to go home for my sister's wedding in December, and of course he hadn't called, so I was waiting.
What do you mean, of course I hadn't called?
He hadn't called, so I was waiting. And he called while I was home and said, do you want to go out for New Year's Eve? And I had just told my mother that I met a wonderful guy.
Oh man. We were married on May 30th of 53.
It'll be 58 years in May.
There's got to be a lesson in there, I think.
Well, keep your eyes open and go for the cute one.
I joined the service December 7th, 1942, 1 year after Pearl Harbor. Went to radio school at Miami University, Oxford, Ohio, where we had civilian instructors. We ended up in what was a place called OP-20G, highly secret unit that spent its whole time sinking the German U-boats, telling the Navy where they were so they could go find them. And that is what I did for World War II. Winter Harbor, Maine was one of the key bases of our secret division. We were 60 miles from Bangor. That was a near civilization and wonderful place, wonderful people, and colder than a hoot-owl. And somebody decided it would be wonderful to throw a party for the USO girls. And so they arranged for a bus for them. They brought them out there. And they spent hours fixing the dining room up immaculate. All the food was set out. And the girls came out and we danced a little bit. And then they took him into the dining room because they had decorated, they had the lights all off. And they flipped on the lights. And everything was there, except also about 1,000 bugs on top of all the food. And there was a large screaming. The girls ran for the bus. They've never been seen again. And that was the end of the so-called party. We went back to visit, and I wanted to get on a base, and they said, you can't get on. I said, well, I'm 312-8032, my sir. He said, it won't do. I said to the commander, and it was a commander on the phone of the base that it was talking to. I says, do you still have that wooden barracks? Do you still have cockroaches? And he said, you get your butt out here. That was clearance enough.
I lived in Hollywood, California in the 30s, mid-30s and late 30s. And I used to caddy at a golf course where Bob Hope played. It was called Lakeside, and I even have a card that I saved all this time, all these years. Lakeside Golf Club. I saw him also perform on radio programs in Hollywood there, and I used to see him in the Pepsodent show.
How lovely it was.
And then the Goose Bay, Labrador, when I was stationed there in 1960, they were going to have the Bob Hope show. And I was on the board of governors of the Officers Club. So somehow the base commander said, well, why don't we get Hubbard to be the project officer for this, And so I became the project officer and his personal escort officer, both. And this is quite an undertaking, it really was, because this is quite an operation that people don't realize what goes into preparing and making the show happen, like the Bob Hope show. I had to wake him up in the morning and we'd all have breakfast together. Jerry Colonna, Les Brown. This is quite a treat to have that opportunity to be with him. The people with the show, the principals, Jane Mansfield, and they'd have somebody lace up the back of her dress or zip it up, whatever, to fit, to get into them. They were that tight. Dorothy Provine, you might remember Dorothy Provine. She was a movie star, and I got to dance with Dorothy Provine and some of the others, and Anita Bryant, and then Miss World. She was from England, and she was really a knockout, really pretty girl. And they had converted a hangar with a huge stage and had about 2,000 people. They filmed for 7.5 hours to get a 42-minute Christmas show. We all had to have these Bob Hope, it says Bob Hope Show, Goose Air Base, Christmas 1961. Actually, that was about 50 years ago. Before he left, Bob Hope gave me a watch fob, I guess that's what you call it. I've kept this, as a reminder of that wonderful time. Bob Hope gathered all the girls together one day, and they're going to visit the hospital. And in a very nice way, he laid the law down. He said, you're not going to go in there and just say hello and walk away. You're going to sit down, you're going to talk to each one. And he would go in and spend literally several hours in the hospital. He would sit down and he'd talk to them and talk to them and talk to them. And I admired him so much for that. I get tears in my eyes thinking about how serious he took the troops. Although born in England, he was a great American.
My husband Woody and I were missionaries in Vietnam, and we came in 1964, which was just before the big number of American troops that came in '65. And one year a chaplain came and said to us that Bob Hope was coming with the USO to Da Nang, and he could get tickets. So he got 3 tickets, so a friend and her husband and I were the 3 people that got to go. And while we were standing there, all of a sudden, a military policeman came up and he said, excuse me, Bob Hope has decided this is going to be his program for his annual Christmas show. Bob Hope Goes to the Troops. It's going to be this Da Nang show. And so people will wonder who you 2 women are. Mr. Hope has asked that you go to the rear. Oh, how embarrassing. So anyway, we really had no choice, so we followed the MP out to the back. When we got to the back, there was the colonel, the head of the air base, that we were friends with him, and he said, oh, I'm so glad to see you girls. He said, the girls in the dressing room need someone to help them get organized and get dressed, and I didn't know who to ask. Inside the room were these 5 beautiful women that were getting ready for the show. One girl said, do you know where there's an iron? And we said, no, we didn't even know if there was electricity out there. So she said, well, to my girlfriend, she said, will you hold this dress up until I have to put it on? So my friend had the job of being the holder of the dress and shaking out the wrinkles. One girl was trying to zip herself into a beautiful gold lame tight-fitting dress. Jill St. John was her name, an old-timer. And I said, can I help you? She said, oh no, no one touches the zipper. And she got some contraption out and pulled that zipper up, and then the band started. Les Brown and his Band of Renown began to play. And so the girl said, well, we have to go out now. We said, okay. And they said, thanks a lot. We said, you're welcome. And they tripped off on the stage. So Ginny and I said, well, we might as well go out. So we went out, and there was the colonel. Oh, he said, thanks so much. And we said, oh, you're welcome. He said, where were you sitting? We said, well, we didn't really have a seat. He said, well, I've got a seat for you. And he led us, tripping over all these seated GIs. Right in the front of the stage, there were 3 empty chairs, and the colonel and Ginny and I sat down right in front of the stage. And there was Oral, the husband that we had been dragged away from, staring at us, because all of a sudden we had these really super seats. And we rode home and we told everybody, watch the Bob Hope show. The two beauties in the front row are your missionaries, hard at work.
I was stationed at Camp Roberts in California for our basic training. We never had any time off except there was a USO show in LA, and they let us go to LA, and there was lots of movie stars there, and they would dance with the officers, but not with us. But Diana Turpin danced with the enlisted men, which was very nice of her, I think. We were shipped over, convoy of course, and I wound up in England. Went towards St. Lo, and we got pretty well shot up, and they sent us to a rest area. Glenn Miller's band was there, and we got to listen to Glenn Miller's band, which was my favorite anyhow. They were happy to get to hear some good music from Glenn Miller, and he played all his favorite songs, and he must have been there for 45 minutes playing. That night when he took off to fly to England, evidently something happened to the plane or something, but anyhow the plane crashed and we never seen or heard from Glenn Miller again, which was sad for me. He was a good guy. I got to talk to him during the show, which was very nice for me. And he wanted to know all about my German background. He could speak pretty good German, yes. Yeah. Matter of fact, he greeted me, "Wie geht's, Hein Morgen?" We were both happy because we could laugh for a change. It was just a change, you know, from coming from D-Day going to the back and hear our own guys playing the music again.
We're glad you joined us for today's show. Tune in next week for more stories and news from around your community. Until then, this is Shell Point Today for the weekend of July 5th, 6th, and 7th. I'm Jared Pike, and from all of us here at Shell Point TV, we hope you have a great weekend, and we'll see you again on Monday.